Welcome back. I remember you. Welcome to episode 3 in our series to install a pluggable database into Oracle 18c on Oracle Enterprise Linux 6.7. Following through all these episodes in order, you'll have a useful functional test environment in VirtualBox. So let's go ahead and get started. A couple of things I want to make sure of is, now that we're done with the guest editions, I want to remove that guest editions ISO from the CD drive. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the disk. And then on the shared folders, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to remove read-only and make sure auto mount is on, and then start up the virtual machine. Now during this episode, we're going to create the necessary groups for the software installation as user Oracle. We're going to add the user ID. We're also going to install and configure tightVNC Server. Now, being that we have a console, it's not necessarily required, because you can obviously run the installer right on the console here in VirtualBox. However, a lot of times you'll be doing it for a production environment. You won't have access to the console, and you're going to need that VNC. So I decided to go ahead and include those steps on how to do that particular component. So as it fires back up here, we should get a desktop momentarily. Apologies, we got a login screen. So I'll go ahead and log in. And as you can see, the guest editions CD is no longer present, and our temp is now mounted. So let's go ahead and access that. And it wants a password, so we'll give it a password. And look at that, we have files. So let's open one. It wants that password again. Kind of annoying. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. So we got a file. So let's go ahead and do this and say copy. And let's go to home and pictures and paste. So obviously we can read it very well. We could probably write it back. Let's do that. Let's rename it to 1. Let's copy. Let's go back to that directory. Oop. And let's paste. And now we have a 1 JPEG. So we can read and write to that local directory in the host operating system with the guest tools successfully. So that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and start the configuration of the user groups. So we're going to go ahead and load and open and log in as root. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a couple of groups: oinstall as a software owner, DBA, and operator, the oper group, and then we're going to add the user Oracle with primary group of oinstall and secondary groups of DBA and oper. And now we're going to go ahead and set the password for user Oracle. And that's all set. Now we're going to go ahead and verify by logging in as user Oracle and see that we can access. And there we go. So we're able to log in as user Oracle. It's all set. We'll just leave that session out there just for a bit. So the next thing we're going to do is install tightVNC Server. So let's go ahead and install. Again, the graphical system and tools, there's this process running that's got our repo locked, so we'll kill -9 that first. And then we'll install. Okay, and this is coming from repository OEL7 latest, so we'll say yes. And we're complete. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is, as user Oracle, missed, is I'm going to set the VNC password. Passwd. And no, we don't want a view-only password. So that's all set. Let's go back to root now and work on the configuration. And this is a generic template file. And we'll just copy that over. And then this is a Oracle specific template file. We're going to copy that configuration from the template. And you can see user Oracle, by the way, specifically, and he'll have desktop 1. Next we're going to edit that configuration file that we copied for user Oracle. And we're going to go down to the bottom. And where we see user embraces, we're going to replace that with user Oracle. And save and exit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the service to start as a service. I don't generally do that. But we're going to start it with systemctl and verify it starts successfully. And as long as we get no errors, then we're just going to go in and stop it. And the reason being is I don't usually leave VNC running all the time, only when necessary. So I actually let user Oracle start the VNC server. So now we'll go back to user Oracle and we'll actually start it, VNC server. And there it is, it says we've got desktop 1. Now we'll go ahead and connect in with tightVNC viewer to 162 is our IP address and it's desktop 1, and we get challenged for a password. Type the password, and of course we have to go through the run firsts, and then we'll get the sample videos, and there we are. So we were successful. Now one of the things I'll mention is when we log out, it'll actually kill this VNC server. And I'll show you how we know that is in the X startup. It's this line right here. If it's genome session or a KDE session, then VNC kill display, and display is obviously the :1. So right now, if we look VNC server, okay, so local domain 1, etc. So if we go ahead and log out, well, let's even do this. ps-ef ps-ef grep VNC server. Nope. Well, we'll know this because if I start another one, it would give it desktop 2 actually. So we'll just go ahead and log out. Connection has been gracefully closed. Now if we do this again, it actually does it. So we can actually comment that out in the X startup so it doesn't do that. And if we wanted to kill the VNC server and shut it down, you know, we might want to make it persistent in case there's a network hiccup. Your installation continues, but you just tell it which display to kill and it shuts it down for us. So that's how we take care of the whole thing with VNC server and how we can connect remotely to it. So now that that's installed and configured and the user groups and users been created, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down and take a fresh snapshot. And I'll go ahead and just close my putty sessions. And we can see it's powered off. So we'll go to snapshots. Again, current state has changed, so we'll take a fresh one. User, Oracle, and VNC. And description. And okay, and boom, that's pretty quick. Let's just go ahead and start it back up now. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in. Nope. Suppose that didn't work. So here we go. And we have our desktop. Now I'm going to go ahead and adjust this, make it just a little bit bigger. Let's try that one. Yes, that's the one we want to keep. And close that. So there we go. Now, I just came to realize or find out that there was some updates available very recently. We did an installation of 7.6 and 7.7 was released about 8 days ago. So we can go ahead and see what that looks like if we want to do some package updates. So let's go ahead and log in as root and see what happens. And I want to actually exclude all kernels and kernel packages. Let's see if we have a process lock on the repository. Nope, we're good. So wow, seems to be an awful lot. Ooh, error. So it looks like this package requires a kernel package that we don't want to do. So it says we can try this skip broken to work through it. But it occurs to me, we did some magic to get the utility guest editions installed through a kernel. We turned on the OEL7 developer, and I'm not sure that that's where we want to go. So let's go ahead and find that developer and turn it off. I don't want to get development packages in here that we don't need, so there it is, and we're going to change that to 0. And save it. Now let's run this again and see what it looks like. So we still have this issue with skip broken. So let's see what happens if we toss that flag in there. And it's going to run through it all again. Okay, so it wants to install 1 package, 34 dependencies, and upgrade 484 packages. Wow, that's an awful lot. Well, let's let it do its thing and see, because we can revert to that snapshot that we just took if we don't like it. And I don't know if I've showed you restoring a snapshot yet, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to let this go. It's downloading, and as you can see, it's downloading pretty rapidly. I have pretty good internet connection. I have 1024 MIPS download. So these downloads are potentially executing a little bit faster than they would on your system. Now, just so you know, I've been pausing some of these when it's sitting here thinking and doing transaction test, etc. Now it's obviously running through, and it's going to update and then clean up 1004 packages, so 990 some to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of project fast forward, and we'll pick it up when it's near the end. There's a message here that there's a script we might want to run because of the update to yum utilities. So I'm going to actually save that off in a text file and go back to unpub. Okay, so these 1004 transactions, it's actually some of them were updates, now that's cleanups, and then it'll actually verify all of them. So we're just finishing up with the cleanups. And now it's going to go through and verify the transactions. And here's a summary. 2 were skipped, 1 was replaced, and all of these were updated. The new one was installed. So we're all good. We can certainly reboot and test it out, but We can go ahead and wrap this one up here. In our next episode, we're going to go ahead and actually restore the snapshot, and then we'll go ahead and start configuring it for the Oracle installation of the grid software. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.